Today we're covering the Chapter 8 review, Develop Geometry with Algebra. And the first question has a picture of a net drawing. It says the net of a rectangular prism and its dimensions are shown in the diagram. What is the total surface area of the rectangular prism in square inches? Okay, so you just need to find the area of each square or each rectangle and then add them together. And since they're all rectangles, the formula is going to be length times width. So for this tiny one right here, it would be 2 times 6, which is 12. And that's the same as this one right here. So that one's also 12. And then this one beside it is 9 times 2, which is 18. And that's the same as this one over here. And then the big one is 6 times 9. They give you the measurement in 2 places. So 6 times 9 is 54. So we're adding 54 plus 54 plus 18 plus 18 plus 12 plus 12. And if you add all those together, you get 168. So the answer is 168, and you can write inches squared, or you can write the words out, squared inches. Number 2. Angles 9 and 12 are what kind? So look, there's 9. There's 12. They are across from each other, and angles that are across from each other, look, kind of makes a V. That would be vertical. Question 3 says angles 9 and 10 are what? So 9 and 10 are right next to each other. If they're next to each other, they are called adjacent. Question 4 says the angle measures of a triangle are shown in the diagram. What is the value of x? So we're not looking for the measurement of the angle, but rather just what's x? Well, I know if I put all of those together, it should equal 180. So 60 plus x plus 20 plus 2x plus 25 will equal 180. The first thing we need to do is combine like terms. So we combine all the constants, the ones that do not have a variable with them. So 60 plus 20 plus 25 make 105. Plus, then we want to combine all the ones that have variables. So there's an x and there's 2 x's. 1x plus 2x makes 3 x's, and it still equals 180. Now we can solve the equation. First, we have to subtract 105 from both sides. Remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So when I subtract, those cancel. 3x comes straight down equals, and 180 minus 105 is 75. The only thing left is 3 times x, so the opposite of 3 times would be divide by 3. The 3's cancel. X comes straight down, equal sign straight down, and 75 divided by 3 would make 25. So x equals 25. Or if you're putting it in the computer, you can just put 25. Number 5. Again, we have a net. This time the net of a square pyramid, and its dimensions are shown in the box, the diagram. What is the total surface, and that should be area, of the pyramid in square feet? So we need to find the area of all 4 triangles, which are exactly the same, and the square that's in the middle. Well, the formula for this square is length times width. And it's a square, so both sides are going to be the same. So 15 times 15. And if you multiply that out, you get 225. So this is 225. Then we need to find the 4 triangles. There's 4 triangles, so we need to multiply by 4, and then it's base times height divided by 2. The base of the triangle is going to be the 15, and the height of the triangle is the dotted line. Remember, the height has to be where that right angle is, all divided by 2. Remember, we can simplify because this on the right is a fraction. So if I simplify and divide something by 2, 2 divided by 2 would be 1. 6 divided by 2 would be 3. So now the denominator is just 1. It's canceled. It's gone. And I can just multiply straight across. So 4 times 15, 60 times the 3, 180. Then I need to add both of those together. So 225 plus 180 makes 405. So that's 405, and it's centimeters square. Number 6. Again, we have kind of a net. It's a picture. Lizeth is planting grass in her yard. The diagram below shows the dimensions of Lizeth's yard. She will not plant in the flower beds. How many square feet of grass does Lizeth need to cover the yard? So she's not going to plant grass in the flower bed. She's only going to plant grass in these 2 areas. You can either find the area of this rectangle plus the area of this one, or you can find the area of the whole big thing and then subtract. So I think it's easiest to go ahead and find the area of the big rectangle, which would be 12 times 8, and then subtract the flower bed. So 12 times 8 would be 96. And then the flower bed is 2 times 12. 2, and this way is 12. And 2 times 12 makes 24. Then I need to subtract those. And I get 72. And it's 72 meters squared. Number 7. A tent is in the shape of a triangular prism. About how much canvas, including the floor, is used to make the tent? So again, this is a net, and we need to find the area of all 3 rectangles. So let's do that first. There's 3 of them. So it's going to be 3 times the length times the width. So 3 times the length is 12, and the width is 3. And 3 times 12 is 36, and 36 times 3, 108. And then we want to find the triangles. There's 2 triangles. So it's going to be 2 times the base times the height divided by 2. So 2 times the base of the triangle is 3, and the height of the triangle is 3.6, all divided by 2. And again, this is kind of like a fraction, so I can simplify the 2's, and I'm left with just 3 times 3.6. Which is 10.8. Now I need to add those two numbers up. When you add them, please be sure to line up the decimals. Since there's not a decimal in 108, it goes at the end. And it needs a 0 there. So the total area is 118.8, and this was in feet squared. Number 8. What is the area of a circle with a diameter of 14 feet? Area is pi r squared, which means pi times radius times radius. Well, they didn't give us the radius, they gave us the diameter. So if the diameter is 14, remember diameter is the big one, I have to divide that by 2 to find the radius, which would be 7. So now plug in the numbers into the formula. The number for pi is 3.14 times the radius, which is 7, times the radius again, which is also 7. And 7 times 7 make 49. And 3.14 times 49 and then I move the decimal 2 spaces. So that would be 153.86. And again, that's feet squared. Number 9. A storage container is shaped like a rectangular prism. The volume of the container is 1,800 cubic feet. The area of the base of the container is 30 square feet. What is the height of the container in feet? So this is talking about volume of a rectangular prism, and that formula is area of the base times the height. Well, we don't have to worry about plugging in a formula for area of the base because they just told us what that number was. So we can just plug that in. Times the height, which we don't know, but we do know the volume, which is 1,800. So we're just solving an equation. We want to get h alone, and to do that, we need to do the opposite of multiplying by 30, which would be dividing by 30. If I divide both sides by 30, the 30's cancel. H comes straight down, equal sign straight down. And look, before you start dividing, we could take off a 0 because they both end in a 0. And 180 divided by 3 would make 60. So the height of the container is 60 feet. And if you're putting it in the computer, you can just put the number 60. Number 10. Alex drew a model of a square pyramid. The dimensions in the model are shown in the diagram. What is the volume of Alex's model in cubic centimeters? Since we're finding volume of a pyramid, that formula is 1/3 area of the base times the height. And this time they did not give us the area of the base, so we are going to have to plug in a formula for the big B. And it's a square, so that formula is base times height. or length times width, still times the height, and still times 1/3. Now let's plug in some numbers. 1/3 times the base is 12, and the height of the base is also 12, and then the height of the pyramid is 16. We can use simplification. We can simplify the 3 with one of the 12s. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now that leaves me with just 4 times 12, which is 48, times 16. (768) over 1, which is just 768, and this is centimeters cubed. And if you're putting it in the computer, it's okay to just put 768. Number 11, answer the questions below by writing 2 or 3 complete sentences in the space provided. Mrs. Carr made a poster shaped like a circle. The circumference of the poster is 10 times pi. What does the 10 represent, and how can she use this information to find the area? Well, the formula for circumference is pi times diameter, or according to your chart, you could also do 2 times pi times radius, which means you have to double the radius to figure out the diameter. So if that is the formula, what does the 10 represent? Well, pi would definitely be pi, so 10 must be the diameter. So let's write about that. Since circumference equals pi times diameter, 10 represents the diameter. Then it asks, how can she use this to find the area? So if you know 10 is the diameter, the area of a circle is pi r squared. How can knowing that 10 is the diameter help us to find the area of the circle? Well, if we know the diameter is 10, we can divide that by 2 and then plug it into the formula. Or multiply pi times 5 squared, and 5 squared means 5 times itself. So let's write about that. This can be used to find the area by dividing the diameter by 2 to find the radius. Then multiply the answer, which was 5, times itself and pi to find the area. Number 12, answer the question below by writing 2 or 3 complete sentences in the space provided. If 2 angles are complementary and one of the angles is 40 degrees, explain how to find the measure of the other angle. Complementary means they have to equal 90. Remember, complementary, we compliment people because it's the right thing to do. It makes a right angle. So if we have 2 angles that make 90 degrees and one of them is 40, how can I find the other one? Well, I would need to subtract from 90 minus 40, and I would get 50. So let's write about that. Complementary angles equal 90 degrees. Subtract 40 from 90 to find the missing measure. And that's all you really have to do. Now to begin the PreAP section of the test, which this first question looks very similar to the first question on the regular test. It says, based on this triangle, what is the value of A? A is right there. You should remember that A is equal to the two interior angles added together. So 70 plus 70 equals 140. That's it, 140 degrees. Number 14. A cone and its dimensions are shown in the diagram. Which measurement is closest to the volume of the cone in cubic inches? Okay, the volume of a cone is 1/3 area of the base times the height. And remember, we have to plug in a different formula for that capital letter B. So the area of the base, our base is going to be a circle. So the formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. And we still have to multiply times 1/3 and times the height of the cone. Now let's go back and plug in the actual numbers. 1/3 times 3.14 for pi times the radius, and remember radius is halfway, so what would be half of 10? 5, so 5 squared times the height of the cone, which is 12. Well, 5 squared is 25. And if we're treating this like a fraction, 1/3 will cancel with 12. 3 divides by 3 once, and 12 divided by 3 makes 4. So then I'm going to multiply 25 times 4, that's 100. And then 3.14 times 100, 314. So the volume of the cone is 314 inches cubed. Number 15. A ball shaped like a sphere has a radius of 6 centimeters. What measurement is closest to the volume of the ball in cubic centimeters? Well, the formula for the volume of a sphere is 4/3 times pi times radius to the third. Then I need to plug in the numbers. 4/3 times, I'm just going to leave pi, the symbol pi, times the radius, which is 6 to the third power. 6 to the third power means 6 times 6, which is 36, times 6 again, 216. So then it's 4/3 times 216 times pi. And I'm just going to leave pi alone. We're going to keep that symbol. What I need to do is work 216 times 4/3. 216 and 3 will simplify. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 216 divided by 3 would be 72. And then 72 times 4, $288. Still, don't forget the pi symbol. 288 times pi, and you can leave the pi symbol. You could also multiply times 3.14. Number 16. An architect uses a cylindrical container to protect her blueprints. The dimensions of the cylinder are shown in the diagram. I seem to be missing my diagram. It looks like that. And there's 2 inches, and from here to there is 8 inches. What measurement is closest to the total surface area of the container in the square? And the surface area formula for a cylindrical container, which would be a can, would be 2 times pi times the radius times the height of the cylinder plus 2 times pi times radius squared. Let's go back and plug in the numbers. 2, and again I'm going to leave that symbol pi, times the radius, which was 2, times the height, which was 8, plus 2 times pi times the radius squared, which was 2, so 2 squared. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, times 8 makes 32 times pi, plus 2 times 2 squared would be 4, so 2 times 4 makes 8 pi, and if I add 32 pi's plus 8 pi's means I have 40 pi's. And you can leave your answer like that, or you can multiply 3.14 times 40. Which is 125.6. That is the preferred answer. Number 17. A triangular prism and its dimensions are shown in the diagram. What is the lateral surface area of this triangular prism in square centimeters? The formula for lateral surface area is perimeter of the base times the height. So we got to find the perimeter of this base. So this side's 3, and this side's 3, and that side's 4. So 3 plus 4, all times the height of the prism, which is 8. 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 10, and 10 times 8 is 80. So the lateral surface area is 80 centimeters squared.